If you had a time machine, how far into the future would you dare to venture? 5 years, 20 years, 100 years even? Well, I'd advise no further than 12. 12 years and that's it. 12 years and the scientists have predicted that there will be an environmental catastrophe. Either we decide that, okay, that's what we're going to deal with. That's what we're going to come towards us. Or we have to seriously reevaluate the way in which we deal with this climate catastrophe. World-leading climate scientists predicted that we have only a dozen years until to keep global warming at a rate of 1.5 degrees Celsius, beyond which even half a degree will significantly increase the risk of droughts, floods, extreme heat, and poverty for hundreds of thousands of people. These not-so-natural disasters are becoming normalised. Weekly, we see flash floods destroying villages, mudslides destroying essential farmland, and forest fires destroying acres of woodlands that have been around for centuries. It's sad to think that the wealthiest and most developed economies are causing these issues, and the most beautiful and untouched natural lands are suffering the consequences of our mistreatment. Just days ago, an aggressive cyclone hit India, killing more than 42 people due to rising temperatures in the sea. The California wildfires last year took the lives of 104 people. Heat waves hitting southern Asia have killed 3,500 people, being the deadliest heat wave in history, with temperatures as high as 53 degrees Celsius. These are just 3 examples of what is becoming the new normal. Yet sadly, the list of devastations goes on. Are we just going to accept that these lives are expendable, a simple cost of our wasteful and destructive habits? We can no longer ignore these devastations as we attempt to provide for our societies that will literally self-destruct if we continue to pollute at this pace. I won't stand here and ignore the work of the government and organisations alike in moving towards sustainable living. Yes, we are turning down the thermostat, and yes, we are shifting towards recyclable goods, and yes, we are becoming more conscious of our carbon footprint. But we know this isn't enough, and it isn't just us either. It's shocking to think that there are those living privileged lives out there in complete denial of the catastrophic effects of climate change. These people need to wake up and realise the reality of our situation and understand that no amount of privilege, wealth, or social clout is going to protect you from the destruction of our environment. However, if you can sit in the audience and say, no, I do help the environment, I recycle, I know I'm one of those people, these daily habits may be helping our moral compass, but they're just the tip of the iceberg. Sure, these changes are fundamental and positive, and maybe many years ago they would have had been enough to really change the threats posed by this climate emergency. However, there is no denying that all of these efforts need to be replicated on a far greater scale. As the International Panel of Climate Change has advised, there needs to be a rapid, revolutionary transition in how we manage our land, industry, transport, and our homes. It cannot be a slow process anymore. There needs to be instant lifestyle changes to individuals, corporations, and society as a whole. Transformational change requires political will, and thankfully new technology is delivering clean green energy, cheaper than the burning of dirty fossil fuels through the likes of offshore wind and geothermal infrastructure. For instance, the UK has set a net zero carbon emission by 2050. However, these targets are set way beyond the catastrophic deadline. It's clearly just kicking the can down the road and living in denial that our reality is far more urgent. We are living and breathing in a heavily polluted world, and each year we are only making our situation worse. The government itself has recognised we need limits on our CO2 emissions. However, this hasn't stopped them from allowing the limits to be broken. Think about this. We know CO2 is harmful. We know it's killing our environment, yet we continue to increase the volume we are happy to emit. Despite all of our good work we have put in so far, we have already breached the 400 parts per million threshold, 450 parts per million being the point of no return. And you would think after breaching this limit, we would radically change our approach, but instead we just upped that limit. Of course, every bit helps, and drastic lifestyle choices need to be addressed, and greater governmental action needs to be done now. For instance, the government needs to make electric cars more appealing with greater investments in their infrastructure, like their charging points. Maybe taxation on meats, which with a growing population is making the industry one of the biggest polluters. And greater restrictions on single-use plastics and packaging, following in the footsteps of Bangladesh, Kenya, and Papua New Guinea, who have already banned the plastic bags in their countries, Bangladesh banning them in 2002. A move to a green economy where countries have economies that thrive on sustainability and clean energy, whilst benefiting the plenty. Capitalism is a thing of the past, and countries need to realise there is no longer a need to run on the dirty mechanics of fossil fuels and oil, but rather realise the greater solutions like solar, wind, and wave energy is the future for a prosperous economy and greater quality of life. The riddance of capitalism will draw the line on the exploitation of our environment and will put our environmental concerns over our selfish wants. We need to start working collectively for the sake of our planet, because without drastic action, an inevitable doom is known for humankind. And so, I'll ask you that question again. How far into the future are you willing to venture? Thank you.